Nigeria could be paying as much as 1.8 billion naira for fuel subsidy at a landing cost of 180 naira for fuel. And this issue has been on for years. Is fuel subsidy still on? Is the government planning to remove fuel subsidy? All of this we'll be looking at on Rootstv exclusive. My guest today is Michael Faniro. He's the outcome lead industry restructuring facility for oil sector transformation. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you this. Who is paying for fuel subsidy, government or the NNPC?
Overall, government is paying for subsidy.
Okay.
No matter what name we call it, whether we call it subsidy or we call it under recovery. You remember in the time past, so we have subsidy payments, government budget for subsidy. We have a lot of issues around subsidy. But today it is called under recovery. Under recovery means government does not have to pay marketers. Government does not have to really pay. But again, the under recovery means shortfall in the revenue that's accruing to the government. So by the time you look at it at the end of the day, it's actually still government paying for subsidy.
But why was there an issue about who was paying some months back? The government, through the Minister of Information, pushed the blame to an NNPC that the government has nothing to do with subsidy. And the NNPC, well, I know it's the government, it's not us. Were they trying to confuse Nigerians?
Okay, so NNPC, by the NNPC Act of 1977, is actually the energy supplier of the last resort. So whether it is commercially viable, is profitable or not, so NNPC is bound to actually import or supply fuel to make the country wet. And that's a social function that they are performing. So currently, NNPC, according to the Minister of Petroleum Resources, the landing cost is 180 naira. Meanwhile, what we are paying at the pump is 145 naira. So you have a 35 naira deficit. So the 35 naira deficit is an under recovery, is shortage to NNPC. So that means NNPC is not able to break even in the importation of fuel. So government will not be paying, as the Minister of Information has said, but what it means, because government is the owner, in quotes, of NNPC, so the revenue from NNPC goes to the government. That means the revenue that should be going to the government is defrayed by that shortfall.
Do you have an idea how government is meeting up with the shortfall? Because, I mean, over $1 billion is plenty money. So
government insists it's not paying for subsidy, but if you look at the records that are published by NNPC every time, so NNPC is at least is increasing transparency now. It publishes their monthly or quarterly report. So you see that they continue to make losses. And as long as that state-owned enterprise continues to make losses, it means the revenue that is going to be accrued to the government.
But do you agree that there have been high rates of corruption, I mean, linked to the subsidy thing over the years?
Yeah, one of the reasons or one of the cases people have made for subsidy removal is actually the issue of corruption. Remember, some years ago, we had this probe of the subsidy regime, and it showed us a lot of can of worms. So we saw our products were smuggled into the country, were brought into the country, ran-tripped. People were enjoying subsidy payments about 3 times on the quantity that they imported. Sometimes the volume that they imported is even less than what is declared. So there are a lot of levels of corruption within this system. And as that House of Representative panel revealed, there is corruption involved in subsidy. Currently, I may not say, okay, there is corruption or there is no corruption, because even the system is opaque. Before, we have triple PRA that has a template that we can all see. This is the landing cost, this is how much it's costing, and this is what we are consuming. But currently, only NNPC imports fuel. So, and we don't even know what template it's using. So until about 2 weeks or last week, when we had that the landing cost is 180 naira, I never knew what is the landing cost of fuel.
Well, IMF advised us to remove subsidy. Minister of Finance, like you know, mentioned that, look, we may not have the same template like that of Ghana, and as a result, no formula for fuel subsidy. So now it means fuel subsidy has come to stay. Is that what it means?
Fuel subsidy has not come to stay. The original plan for subsidy, I believe, is actually supposed to be temporary. Subsidy in itself is an incentive by government just to get price of commodity or service at a certain level, also help the economic or social activity. But as it is, it has become kind of permanent part of our lives. So the problem I see is that we need the political will to remove this subsidy, because we need to ask our question, who is actually benefiting from subsidy? And that's a key question that we need to answer.
But really, who? Do you have an idea who is benefiting?
Who is benefiting from is actually the inefficiencies in the system, and initially it used to be the marketers, and it used to be the corrupt element. But currently, with the Nigerian populace, is actually losing more than is benefiting. Because
So we are losing more to this.
than we are benefiting. Because so there are a lot of people that are in this kind of, when it comes to subsidy, we have different reactions on subsidy. And what I did was to actually look at the different levels of people, the different reaction of people to subsidy.
Okay.
So there are people who genuinely believe that subsidy should be removed because based on the economic model, they believe subsidy should be removed. There are a lot of people who believe that subsidy should not be removed because some people, actors in current government, opposed to subsidy removal in 2012 when Jonathan administration proposed it.
Yes.
There are some people who believe subsidy should be removed because, okay, we elected the current government and we believe in the current government. And there are some people who genuinely believe that subsidy should not be removed because they believe that the only thing that the populace is gaining from government as part of the national cake is this subsidy payment. But we are not actually gaining. When you look at it, at the end of the day, because this is not sustainable, according to what IMF has told us, is because the revenue we are getting now is not sustainable. And if we are now going to include the cost of subsidy, we are going to be paying this, we might actually go under. Remember, yesterday or 2 days ago, the new minimum wage bill was signed.
Yes.
Which increased the minimum wage bill by about 67%. The burden on government alone on that is going to be very huge. And government does not have a sustainable revenue to finance that minimum wage. If you are going to be financing that and you are going to be financing the subsidy, remember how much we are borrowing now and how much the burden of this subsidy is going to be on us. So, which means the opportunity cost for this subsidy, because okay, you can say, okay, we are paying subsidy, that's what we are getting. But the opportunity cost is the cost that we could have spent on infrastructure, the cost we could have spent on health, the money we could have spent on education. According to NECA, I read a report recently, they quoted 9 trillion Naira as the amount that the government has spent on subsidy in the last 10 years. And in the same period, only 15.5 trillion was spent on capital expenditure, almost at par with what was spent on subsidy. Mere 2.1 trillion was spent on health, and mere 3.9 trillion was spent on education. So health and education combined together are less than the amount that was included in subsidy. So you can see
that's really worrisome.
The populace is the one that is losing at the end of the day. So there are arguments.
Yeah.
If subsidy is removed today, transportation price is going to go up, the price of food is going to go up, everything. But what makes up the transportation cost is not just the price of fuel. The condition of the road as well contributes to what make up the transportation cost. So if you remove the subsidy and we're able to use that money to fix the road, I can tell you at the end of the day, it's going to converge, the price is going to come
But
down.
let me ask this finally. What will be the fate of the ordinary Nigerians on the street if eventually we decide to heed to the advice of IMF and the World Bank in removing fuel subsidy? What will be the fate of the Nigerian and the economy?
Okay. So for me, I believe that we have no option than to, it's not just about even removal of subsidy. It is to fully deregulate the downstream sector of the oil and gas. And the government missed this opportunity in 2016. In 2016, when this government came into power and it still enjoyed the confidence of people, subsidy was removed. But the opportunity that was missed was to actually deregulate the sector. So if we deregulate the sector and leave everything to the forces of the demand and supply, we would not be here where we are today. Because then we moved from like 97 Naira to 145 Naira. A template came out on how this value, the cost was arrived at. The government did not fully deregulate. And I wrote an article then that this is a missed opportunity because it is going to be you're going to be influenced by exchange rate. Then we're having like exchange rate of 180 or 1 or something. Exchange rate now is around 360. Yes. So because you are importing fuel which are refined outside, so in dollar price, the freight is in dollar. Most of the elements on that template are in dollar because we have two elements. We have the landing cost and we have the distribution cost. And now when the minister said landing cost of 180, I'm still trying to understand whether it meant the landing cost or the expected open market price. Because the landing cost is different from the expected open market price. The landing cost is the cost it gets to the storage. Then for you to distribute, it's still about 14 Naira that you need to add on top because of retailers' margin, transportation allowance, and things like that. So if this is removed at the end of the day, the economy will be better for you. We have more money.
Economy will be better.
The economy will be better in the long term.
Okay.
Because this money could actually be used for our social safety net. This government prides itself to be like a social government. So we have the social safety net, we have the NSIO, and they've been doing very well. And we can pump more money into this sector to actually address the poor. Because on subsidy, the poor is more or less subsidizing the rich because the poor will probably consume maybe 5 liters of petrol in a day. The rich probably consuming 100 liters of fuel per day. So who is getting more subsidized?
All right.
The guy who is buying more. Then even the states, take for example, Lagos State consume 20% of the total average, national average. Ekiti State consumes only 1%. However, because of the under-recovery, the allocation to these states are affected at the source. So Ekiti State is subsidizing the Lagos State that is consuming like 20%.
Indeed. Well, my guest has been Michael Faniro, Outcome Lead Industry Restructuring Facility for Oil Sector Transformation, and you have been watching Rootstv exclusive on subsidy removal. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Of course, this is a conversation that we'll be talking in the coming days.
Thank you.
Keep watching Rootstv Nigeria. I am Itogi Mo Edit.